Good morning, everybody. Well, I should say good afternoon. We're a little bit after 12 o'clock, came up early for some lunch. Let's take a look at the farm, see where we're at. We've had a lot of rain, hail, and actually just downright tough to farm in, but we're going, and this is week 8 for us on our growing season. We're the first week of June, and but since we started putting plants in, we've accomplished a lot, I think, this year. So let's take a look and see where we're at this point. It'll be a good mile marker for Delia and I as we try to look at it. Look at this water here. I mean, it's not a lot right there, but we were really just flooded here the other day. So we come into our small greenhouse. These were planted. These were planted here in the the second week of April. Got our bell peppers. Last year we did not tie these up or anything, and I was late getting some post in the ground. So anyway, we ended up having to kind of put post on the outside because I was worried that we were going to get into trouble. Got our beefsteak tomatoes in these 2 rows here. They're doing very well. Got a lot of romaine lettuce also growing in between. We'll be harvesting the romaine very soon. We have a mistake, but you know, these are slicer cucumbers, but on the other side we made a mistake and we planted pickling cucumbers in that outside. So we're not stringing them up. We're actually going to move them. Hopefully they'll come back all right. But we need slicers in the greenhouse, so you know, that was an uh-oh. Here is our cherry tomatoes, and they're coming on real nice. Having some really nice bunches right down there. So cherry tomatoes, it's amazing how much they want to continue to sucker and divide. Here's one I missed right there, so we'll get rid of him. Let's go to the other house, show where we're at. So looking here at our second greenhouse, we did get this built this year. We have it finished. And we had a tremendous flood. There's no reason to hide it from you. It was a bad deal. We're on fairly level ground here, and we do have it sloped, but we ended up having 3 inches of rain in just a couple of hours, and to be honest with you, it was just more than we could handle for that. But you know, our determinants are growing very well, and even back where it's flooded in, that's where we're at this time. I have the curtains. We're quite warm in here, but because we have another storm coming, which we don't need. Here in Kansas, you don't want to knock the rain, but we have a lot of rain. So coming out the door, actually, let's go through the wall, and we'll take a look at our garlic, which the scapes are coming on now. We're pulling our scapes and need to pull more. It's just that time of year. Then we have our onions, and they're starting to bulb right now. First week of June here. God, the weeds are it's been a battle for us trying to get all of that done and get this done. Hopefully next year we can do a little bit better job. But all in all, for 2 people, we're not doing too bad. Another area that you could say it's neglect, but it's not neglect, but our squash has to get weeded awfully bad. It sounds like I'm just doing nothing but complaining, but there's the squash and the zucchini. We have harvested some of our new onions, and hilled a couple of rows of onions that we're going to go ahead and let them go to full size for our own use. But the rest of this is going to be in new onions. That's doing very well. We have run our water lines. Now this is the first time I ever used our planter. I had some irons to work out in it, and I made some mistakes, but we have 3 rows of peas and try to get 3 rows of green beans, but that isn't happening very well. But we do have some more squash coming up here. We also have some okra, or if you're down in Georgia, it's okra. But we have, you know, and this here was just planted, and I tell you what, we had that monsoon rain. So it's going to probably require some new planting. We do have our bell peppers and cayennes and our jalapeno peppers. We have a lot of those outside here with our water lines. And we have some San Marzano tomatoes growing here, and some leftover tomatoes we didn't get in the greenhouse. We got some red deuce also down there. Green beans, with the rains that just occurred, it shifted a lot of my soil. It's a bad deal. Probably be planting some more green beans in some spots. But the green beans are coming up. This is a much better planting per se, but the storm got me. But you see, you know, they're coming up really nice, the green beans are, where I didn't have any soil shifting. So I talked to my guy at the farm co-op, and you know, I might be definitely trying to go with some no-till next year. It's something I haven't done before, but looking at our soil erosion and some of our just bad luck this year, I haven't had this before here. This has always been, well, we're in Kansas, so it's usually fairly dry, but not this year. It's really been a tough game for me. So we have that. Let's go on down here and we'll look at our sunflowers. But in this spot we have our sunflowers. We just planted 6 rows of sunflowers. We thought we'd give it a shot. They are coming up well. A lot of them just are getting either washed out of their bed, or they got washed out, period, or they got covered up with too much soil. Down here, a little farther down, is we start seeing our watermelon come up. But again, we're seeing, I think we're going to have to replant watermelon. I don't have any more cantaloupe seeds, unfortunately, but there's a watermelon right there, and there's a watermelon right there. Now these are crimson sweet, crimson red, or something along that line, but I think it's crimson sweet. But we have some watermelon coming up. There's another one. They're coming, but it's being it's awfully difficult. Like, we should be seeing them spaced out. We stayed on the 30-inch rows, but we spread them out. But I think we're going to have to fill in a lot of holes. Like right there's a watermelon. Just bad luck there. I wish we'd have gone no-till a little bit sooner. But let's head down to something more positive, and that's the sweet corn. So let's take a look at it. So we're here at our sweet corn. Now, every one of my plantings this year has had a flash flood occur. Now, this corn here was just starting to come up right as that rain had hit us, but all in all, it's a pretty good stand of sweet corn. I think you can see the rows are pretty clearly still in good shape. I'm happy about that. That's the one. This is probably my best stand of sweet corn so far, because every one of these plantings, unfortunately, I've had a monsoon occur. And as we get going here and look, you can see the transition where these are almost perfect, right? I mean, yeah, I have some washout in there a little bit, and but all in all, our sweet corn on this planting they're fighting, they're coming up. Now we look over here, you can definitely see a little bit more gaps. I have a lot of sweet corn here still. That part is good. The bad side is I have a lot more of these washout spots. Again, these are things that we don't normally experience here, and we're usually begging for water, and I'm certain we still will. But this time we have a little more gaps, a little bit more misses in here. We can see how the water, it's just not my field it's coming down, it's the neighbors. You can see just above the fence there, the height of that. So we have a lot of water that's coming off of this. It's no problem getting our pond filled out of here, but this is our second planting. This particular area is our second planting, and got about 24 rows. I guess it's right at a half an acre. We try to plant somewhere in the terms of a quarter acre to a half acre per planting. That's about what Delia and I can handle. That's a lot of sweet corn. When it's coming ripe, we're going to be busy, and we'll be happy to show you what we're doing. Let's take a look. And there's a little bit of a change from my very first YouTube video on where I showed where we planted sweet corn, and it was with old 3-year-old seed, and it just didn't pan out very well. So I came in here and I tilled this up, and this time I replanted, and I think you can see I got a lot of weeds that are dying back and different things like that. Didn't have very good herbicide, but the new planting looks fantastic. So we can look across there and we can see our rows. Our sweet corn's coming up nice. This was also planted with that other batch that came in, so it looks much better than the original seed that was 3 months old. Now over here on these 3 rows here, running on the outside edge, now this is Indian corn. It was a red seed, so I don't know if they're all going to be red or how it's going to look, but we put those 3 on the outside edge, and we'll have to watch it for earworm. I gotta watch them all for earworm, but we'll have to really check that out. But in that first planting here with the old seed, we also did our very first planting with the new seed. And this is the area that got hit with hail. And this variety is called Kickstart, but you can see that's not insect damage. I know it probably looks like insect or corn borer or something like that, but it was actually hail that hit us that day, and that's the same thing that flooded the greenhouse. It was so much rain, it stripped the leaves, but it evidently did not damage our whorls. So we have corn still coming on. These 6 rows is Kickstart, and then we jump over here to our primary variety, and this one is called I'll think of it here in a little bit, Matriarch. So this is Matriarch, and again, it was hit by hail as well. You can see the damage, but I also see a lot of new growth. It's just called, we're going to have more irregular growth out of these, just simply because of the stress they had to go under. Most of these, I'm surprised they're not goosenecked, but they haven't put out their foot roots yet to stabilize them. But these were planted, 1 3/4 inches to 2 inches of depth, so they really got a good foundation underneath of them. But we're going to get some corn out of this. We're still going to get some corn out of this area, even though it's had a little bit worse luck than others. So the big thing I see out of a lot of the corn from that hail, besides just the damage of that, but I also see where I'm going to turn it onto this plant, where the leaves really never unfurled on the plant. I've loosened up many of them to try to open them up, and the same thing with this one here. I just don't know if they'll ever make it or not. I'm going to put this on my head and we'll... So the plant itself, you see how with the wind and the hail and the damage, it's you know, we have a lot of corn, and a lot of guys probably say, well, don't worry about a few of them, and I get that. But you know, just as we're out here taking a look at it, I thought I'd show you the damage, and just can't see if we can't get an ear of corn out of it. I mean, we do sell it, and if we can get something, well, it's worth 50 cents, right? Or 10 cents, or whatever the price of corn is, $7 a dozen. So there I kind of unrolled it a little bit. They don't look pretty, but we have high hopes for our other corn. It's just been a tough year, but we'll still get corn. We'll still have corn to sell. The big thing you worry about is when you have these open gaps here, is you worry about pollination, because yeah, out of this one spot, that ear of corn ought to be pretty big if you get good pollination. And so those are the things you get worried about. Not only is the lack of income on our part, but it's from just not having as many ears as you planted seeds, but you worry about the fact that the seeds you have in the ground are going to pollinate properly, and every kernel will be pollinated. So these are where we're at right now. You know, we'll also have delayed. We have a variation in size of our sweet corn. That's very apparent that we have different sizes of sweet corn out here. So will they be pollinated properly? So these are all things you worry about as you get into. Here's one here that is bound up. I mean, it's early, it's young. There we go. Got it freed up. We might get an ear of corn out of that. Most of these have done pretty well. We have another one here. It's just what happens from the hail is and the winds we experience. They said it was 60-mile-an-hour winds. If you look on WIBW Topeka, the TV station, last night or a couple of days ago, we were right in a bullseye of damage. So we have that, and like always, we have 2 ears of corn that are trying to grow here. One of them needs to go, of no value, so we'll get rid of one of them. Because if we don't do that, we'll just have 2 ears of corn. I'm gonna try to plant this one. I haven't seen where these have really performed well, but if it dies, it dies. We'll get it. We'll stick it in. We got more rain coming. That's what it is. So maybe it'll be enough to get them roots going. But that's our update. I wish I could say it was all sunshine and roses and we had gold spoons coming out of our ears left and right, but we don't have gold spoons. We're struggling just to get some stuff to germinate. We have a washout here, yeah, but we are still alive, we're still healthy, and we still have promise of more corn coming up, and hopefully we can get this fixed in the future as we strive to maybe go more towards our no-till. Something has to be done, that's for certain, and there's trade-offs with everything, but this crop here really, all in all, looks pretty good. Even it had enough of a root system already down, evidently, that when they were ready to emerge, they were able to fight their way through it with very few misses. Very few misses in it. So just like this, a small miss and a small miss. But all in all, our corn is coming up very nice. One of these days, I'd like to be able to have my planter, just like to see the planter have a fair shot at how well it does. But I think we're going to do okay in the end. It's going to look good when all the tassels are out, right? And you won't even get to see all of these problems out here. So we have one more planting worth of sweet corn, which it'll begin right here. We'll put our next sweet corn here, and we'll have close to about an acre and a quarter of sweet corn out. So, well, folks, that's our update, and we appreciate having you come along. Go ahead and hit that like button and that subscribe button, and come grow with us.